Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Ibishu 200BX. You are not a 200BX, you are a truck, you're nothing like it. Now this is the 200BX, and I'm going to use the base model right now, and we'll look at the other ones in a little bit, but first, here is the base model of the car. Now, in the 1980s, Nissan made a 200SX, and it looked very similar to this car, and it's only one letter off from the name of this car, so I really have to assume that this car is inspired by the Nissan 200SX. And up here, if you get real nice and close, you can see Ibishu 200BX. And there's even an Ibishu logo in the front, which I never paid attention to, but look, it's a little eye and an oval. I never noticed that they had a logo before. But here's again some more of the exterior, and it's even on the hubcaps. Unfortunately, those are hubcaps. They look like they might be really nice wheels, but nah, they're just hubcaps. And it does have some pop-up lights, which are awesome. I love pop-up lights. They're one of the things where I wish you could get them on modern cars because they just look so cool. And they probably wouldn't match the design of modern cars at all, but I don't care. They look so cool. But that's the exterior, at least a quick look at it. And looking inside here, you can tell that this is not a brand new modern car because there's no touchscreen anywhere. And there's not even really a spot for a touchscreen, which means this car is probably from the 80s or maybe even 90s in terms of interior design. It also has a shifter that looks a lot more like the kind of you would see in a car of that time period. Now, newer automatic cars have crazier looking ones. A simple one like that looks pretty much identical to the one I used to have in my RX-7 before I sold it. And then the parking brake is functional, and again, it looks very similar to the one I had in my car. My other car looks like a crazy thing, but that does move, is what I'm getting at. And the parking brake moves, as does the shifter. And then you have a little light up there for when the parking brake is on. And then the steering wheel, of course, rotates. Like any car that has a moving parking brake probably has a moving steering wheel. I don't think I've ever seen one that has a moving parking brake but not a moving steering wheel. You also have the blinkers, which do light up on the dash, and the lever on the stock moves when you click it. And pedals move, but you can't see them. And everything on the dash does seem to work. So, you know, tachometer, speedometer, all that works. And you can actually light them up. Whoops. If you go outside, put the lights on. Because I don't know the hotkey for the lights off the top of my head. And now we can see the cool looking blue dash of this car. But it's broken now, and that's sad. So I'm going to go ahead and respawn it. And now I'm going to really break it. Because I'm violent. I'm just going to do things nice and simple right here, and I'm just going to slam it into this and see how it does. So, a little too slow-mo right there, and wow. That rear suspension just gave out. I don't know if you noticed that, but the tire went gone. It's going back to the future right there. So the car is immobilized because of the rear suspension blowing out mostly. It appears that the engine is still intact and willing to drive if it wasn't for the broken suspension. The crash itself, though, seems to look pretty good. I don't notice any major issues. That might look a little funky right there, but aside from that, seems pretty good. Go ahead and reset that. Now, I want to crash into this car using another car, and I want it to be the exact same car. Well, maybe not the exact same car. Maybe I can make it a little bit different. Maybe I could have one of them be the base model, and the other one could be the Type L. But the point is, I want to crash a 200BX into a 200BX. So the difference between a Type L and the base model is very minimal. As far as I can tell, the only difference is that this one has a Type L badge on the back, and these are actual wheels and not hubcaps. If you don't know the difference between wheels and hubcaps, here is a quick demonstration. Hubcaps are pieces of plastic that go over this, and if you hit break all brake groups, you can see the hubcap falls off, and that is what is hidden under the hubcap. And in real life, you can have your hubcap fall off, and then you're driving around with a wheel that looks like that. These ones aren't hubcaps. It's just one solid piece of metal right there, so it won't ever fall off. You will always have wheels that look like that. But that's the only difference I can find between the two versions of the car. So I don't know why you would really pay more for the Type L in real life just to say, oh, I don't have hubcaps, because as far as I can tell, the engine, suspension, interior, everything else basically is the exact same. It's just kind of funny to me that there's so little difference. Anyways, though, I'm just going to go ahead and rear end the other 200BX with this one at about 60 miles per hour or so. Gotta try to do my best to make it about 60. 61, that's pretty good. And rear end him! Alright, that crash seems to have worked pretty well. What is that? My headlights! No, my headlights! Those are my headlights that just fell off, those two pieces. This car does still drive. How about this one? Oh, parking brake's on. This one also still drives. I like the trunk. Like, I hit it in a way where I crushed the trunk, but the trunk lid was okay. Kind of funny. Alright, since this one still drives, let's go ahead and rear end him again and see if we can't break him. I'll get a new one on this one, though, because I don't really care what happens to this one. Right now, this one's just a battering ram that happens to also be the same car, so I can look at it after the crash. This time, I'm not going to slow down. I'm going to hit it at the top speed that I can go from the spot that I was at, so about 73 miles per hour. And that got some roof damage on that car up front. I don't think he's going to be driving anymore. We have also merged into a single entity. We are one car. We are now an Ibishu 400BX. Fear us, for we are a single car. We're also a limo. A very bad limo. I can't separate them, so I'll just reset this one. And how about you? Can you drive? Impressive. I mean, it doesn't exactly drive, but it has the ability to at least move. The rear end is just sagging so bad, or it's actually the middle of the car is just sagging so bad, it's just scraping along, which is really what's killing it. So if I wanted to, I could probably try to like flatten out the bottom and keep driving it, but that would be some crazy thing, which I'm not exactly sure how I would even approach that. So instead, let's park this right here. I'm going to shove it off the ramp with the other one. I don't know if it'll actually hold there. It looks like it will. Awesome. So I'm going to just make it fly. We got two cars flying, actually, probably, when it hits. And then maybe after that, we could do a side impact and see what that does, because we did front and back, so we might as well do side as well. I get slow-mo ready, because I don't want to miss this. And that is an impact. Now fly! Oh, my rear suspension blew out again. Oh, no. That was a terrible fly. I think that was wimpy. Alright, the beige one better be broken. That base model should not drive no more. He is broken, thankfully. If he was still functional, I would say, you know what, you get to sit here for the rest of the video because you're amazing. Because you are so beat up. Alright, so let's go ahead and do a side impact now, so we have a little bit of every direction possible. Well, we haven't done roof yet. And there is a version of the car with a roll cage, so if I do the roof, I'd want to have a comparison between the two. So we'll do that as well, and then we've basically crushed the car from every possible angle that I can think of. I mean, you could say crush it from opposite of the roof, like, that'd be weird though. Like, why would you do that? Now on this crash, this is a good one to look at on the interior, because I can see the interior for both of them, and see how it holds up. So the car we just hit on the side, looks alright. It's a little spiky on the seats, but the door itself seems to look pretty good. This side, little glitchy right there. Looks okay though. Can it drive at all? It can kind of drive. So in my logic says if I hit it again, it'll be symmetrical and it'll drive better. That totally makes sense. If I could hit it exactly the same, which I can't, so this will probably just make things worse, but I'm gonna crash into it and hope it'll drive even better now. And actually what I should do is do this one from the inside of the other car. So like whoop whoop. Right, so that should be okay. Be this car. Good. Camera's ready. We can go 8 times slow-mo now. And hello, car! Ow! So that was actually a lot further up on the car, that crash. You got to see it from the inside. And it got a little spiky right there, but nothing too major. Can you drive still? Oh, it does drive a little faster, I think, after that crash. I'm a genius. I fixed it, or I improved it. By crashing into it again. Where you going, blue car? Really, where are you going? I don't know where you're going. Oh, well. You just keep going wherever you want to go. I think what we actually should do, actually, is... Yeah, I lied. He doesn't get to go where he wants to go. I should do a couple of jumps so you can see how well the suspension holds up for something like that. And maybe even the suspension test. That's also a good thing to do. So we'll do that at very high speeds, like 50 miles per hour, which is a lot faster than you normally go through something like this. But it has a pretty good suspension, so it's not really an issue. Let's see if it can make the loop-de-loop after the suspension, which is usually quite hard because most cars don't have enough power, and I can't see! It didn't have enough power. Pretty sure the suspension can't hold up to that. Yeah, it can't. There's no hope. There's no way. Instead, we'll use this one on the regular jump and see what that does. Start with the medium one, and if it makes it, we can go to the big one. If it breaks, we can go to the other one. Still drives. A little bit of damage actually on the rear suspension. You can tell that that is not the stock tire angle. That is terrible. I mean, well, some people pay a lot of money to have their suspension look like that. I don't know why. I mean, I've seen even more extreme though. I mean, in terms of like extremeness, that's not even that severe. And now it's, yeah, like that. That's what some people pay for, to look like that. Okay, so I did some jumps now. Now I want to do the roof test. And the easiest way to crash the roof that I found out was you go over here and you just park right below that thing, and then you put the reverse gravity on and you just slam right into it. Make sure I'm under it. Am I? Maybe a little off. Go like right there. And then pull up the menu, go to environment. And we are going to pick negative earth. Negative, not reverse. Why did I say reverse? And boom! There is the roof test. And the roof gets smashed. Pretty bad. I want to bring it to the ground pretty gently, so I'll use moon gravity. And once it touches down, earth gravity. So yeah, that did not fare very well. Interestingly enough, the rear end kind of looks like the bolide a little bit with how it's really dark, and it almost looks like it has louvers if you squint really hard. Actually, really, it does. I just heard a car crash. What are you doing over there? Stop crashing! But it does actually look like louvers if you squint hard enough. It almost looks like that's the engine, too. Funny. So he was doing some other stuff. I don't know what you were doing, man. Calm down. But now I'm going to do the same thing with the other version of this car that has a roll cage and see if it makes a difference. And then I'll actually talk about that version of the car a little later on. But since I'm doing this test right now, it makes a lot of sense to do this comparison right after so you can see back to back the difference. The negative earth. And really big difference there. It actually is bouncing. I noticed that. And then you can see that that one, the roll cage did his job. I mean, we weren't exactly rolling, but the roll cage still increased the strength of the roof so that the driver wouldn't be decapitated from the crash. Because the other one, the roof was like this. This one, you still see all three pillars, and you can identify them. You can say, oh, there's the A pillar, there's the B pillar, there's the C pillar. And that would save a life right there. Oh, the little attachments for my wing are still there and undamaged, it looks like, but my wing's gone. So that's all I'm going to do with that one for now. I'm going to play with that one a little more later on, but the next one I want to actually look at is the Type LS, because that's kind of like the next one in line to use. So compared to the Type L, this one actually has some improvements to make it worth driving. If I was to drive this car in the stock version, I would honestly probably choose to drive the Type LS one because it has a Type LS badge on the back. It has more than that, though. It also has a spoiler that is not a wing. It doesn't appear to be made to create downforce. It looks like it's just a spoiler. And then it also has a slightly tuned engine that's a little bit faster. And it has different wheels as well. Let me get into the light so you can see them good. Different wheels as well. There we are. And it has a small bit of modifications to the suspension that makes it sport. Or sportier, I guess you could say. And one thing I have noticed is that when you crash the sport suspension into something, it seems like the rear suspension doesn't want to blow up on you as much. Like that was a 50-mile-per-hour crash right there, and the car is still driving. If I do a 50-mile-per-hour crash without the sport suspension, it seems like the whole rear suspension just implodes on itself, kind of. So I'm going to try to do about the same speed, which was about 50 miles per hour, into that block. And you see the difference. This one don't drive at all. This one, he can drive. Not very well, but he can drive because the rear tires are still properly attached. That's just one of the other advantages of this one. And the suspension's not like super stiff or anything like that, really. It's just a little bit stiffer, but it's quite a bit stronger. And it can go over the suspension test no problem. Not the big one because it ain't no truck, but it could go over the more simple one without any issues. It's a little rougher of a ride than the other one, you can tell that, but it doesn't have any issues bottoming out or anything like that. And, well, I think that does a pretty good job of just doing some basic stuff with the cars. The next thing we could do is the crazy stuff, like shoot it with a cannon. That's a crazy thing to do. And it's already pretty much lined up. I'll move it maybe a little bit to the right, and then we're good. So shoot! That was a perfect shot. It even flipped the car over. Alright, so that did some pretty significant damage to it. But the damage looks pretty good. I don't see any issues or anything like that, except for a couple of spikes right there. Aside from that, it looks pretty good. Go on. Reset you, and reset you. And one thing I've noticed, if you try to shoot the cannonball in slow-mo, sometimes it just doesn't work. Like, let's see. That one looks okay. So freeze physics, I can actually see this. But I want to see it in slow-mo as well. But I've noticed sometimes when you're shooting in slow-mo, it just kind of barely shoots it. Like, that was definitely slower than the last one. The last one had so much force compared to that one. And it's just when you use slow-mo, it does that. I don't know why. But it still had enough force to do some good damage to the car. But it does drive still, so you can't stop this car. You know what I think of you, you cannonball? Ah, lights go up still. I like that the hood, like, wiggled. Like, it's shoving the hood out the way so it can put those lights on. And I can even drive around with the cannonball in me. And to finish things up, we can go ahead and shoot the cannon at the car into its side. Now, I want to do this with slow-mo, which is a little difficult because, as I just demonstrated, it has issues sometimes. So I'm going to shoot the cannon, then I'm going to really quickly go into slow-mo, and then freeze physics, and hopefully we'll be able to see this. So let's hope that works. So shoot, slow-mo, freeze physics, so I can get a nice camera angle. Something like that should be pretty good, and go. And even with 8 times slow-mo, it just obliterates it. Like, when the cannon shoots real and right, it shoots so much harder than in slow-mo. Slow-mo, it shoots at slow-mo. Like, just for fun. Well, let's look at the car first, but then I want to do something else. So yeah, that's destruction. That car is done. You can't repair this. But watch, if I do a cannon shot at 100 times slow-mo. Oops. Oh. It shot it. It shot it. Here it comes. Here it comes. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Blop. Look at this. Look at that wimpy cannon. It bounced before it even got to the car. Ooh, catch it, catch it. Yeah, right. So, just something weird. Now I want to go ahead and look at the race and drift version. And to do that, we should go to a race or drift or something kind of track, like a rotary raceway. So let's start things off with the drift edition, because I think the drift edition is the one that's listed first. And yes, it was. I was right. And I want it to be orange, because I love my orange cars, and it's orange by default, so orange it is. And before we actually do much driving with this, I want to compare it to the stock one, because the changes to the drift edition are really... There's really a lot, basically. Like the Corvette, it has a race edition, right? And it has a roll cage, engine tweaks, and suspension tweaks. This one has all of that, and then it also has a wide body kit on it. So I want to put this side by side with the stock version so you could really see the difference between the wide body kit and the stock one. And I'll use the LS for the comparison. I don't really think it makes too big of a difference, but we can use that one. So I'll just park it right there. Now the most obvious change, though, that isn't really part of the wide body kit, it's the giant wing! I love that wing. You could use that as a bench. And this one, it just has like this wimpy spoiler. Like, what are you doing? You probably barely do anything. You're pathetic. Get like him. He's awesome. And then the next most obvious thing is probably like the hood. Like this one's like, I've got carbon fiber vents. This one's like, I'm boring. I got nothing. Carbon fiber, nothing. Carbon fiber wins. And then a lot of other things too. Like the front bumper is different. It's a little bit easier to show you if I go to this car. There. Now you can see the extra width that has been added right here to allow you to have wider tires in the front. Then it also has a side skirt over here that you can tell it's a little bit longer than the stock one. So you have more ground clearance on the stock one and less over here. But it blends in with the whole wide body kit a little bit better when you have that. I tried taking it off and it looks a little weird. You also have widened rear wheel fenders. And I always mess that up. I actually said it right. Usually I say rear wheel. I'm like, no, it's just, I don't know why, but it's always like a tongue twister for me. But I said it right there. It has that, and then it has a different rear bumper as well. And then a minor detail is the trunk doesn't have the badging. It just has 200BX. Headlights, unfortunately, are the same. I always think of when you have a race car that used to have pop-up lights, you're going to put sleepy eyes because it's better for aerodynamics. And if you don't know what sleepy eyes means, it's basically you have these and they still lift up, but only halfway, and then you have like LEDs or something on the top part, so it looks like it's sleepy. You get it? Or they just switch them out for like fixed position bulbs. And the only reason I mention this, by the way, is just because it's a kind of common mod you see in real vehicles. So I don't know. I'm surprised it doesn't have that, considering how many other things have been changed on it. Interior, though, also has some changes to it. You see the roll cage, obviously. You could even see that from the exterior. It also has no more rear seats back there. They are gone. And the doors have had their interior bits removed. So now it's just a piece of metal right there, where on the stock one, you have like a cloth or plastic, leather, I don't know. I can't touch it. I'm touching my monitor and it doesn't feel like cloth at all. But it doesn't have that here. It's just metal. And that's all the visual changes I can think of for this car. Oh, exhaust and wheels are also different. Those are all the visual differences. But it also has some other things which you can't exactly see so easily. But if I remove the hood, it makes it a little bit easier to see it. Let me actually remove the hood on both of these. Where's the, what? Wait, empty. Is it gonna work? Why am I still, I'm still modifying the wrong car. Stop it. Oh, now my car's all crazy. I'll get this eventually. Hold on. Things got a little crazy. Okay. There. So what I was going to show you, though, is this one. It has a turbo on it. I actually didn't show you the engines at all, so this is the first time you're seeing them. But this one, it has a turbo on it, and you can actually see the turbo, which is cool. This one, it doesn't. It just has a boring stock engine. It looks like there's almost like they left this spot right here from the factory. Like, we want you to put a turbo on our car. And then the race team's like, we got this. We can put a turbo on this car. And that is all the differences I know of visually between the two. And with the turbo, this thing makes a lot more horsepower than the stock one. The stock one made about, well, I could look it up, actually. I don't know where it's going to go. It's probably going to crash somewhere. The stock one made about 200 horsepower. A little bit under that, 180. This one makes, well, I can't tell because it's listing the wrong car. Reset it and reset it again because I have to reset it with force. So there we go. This car actually only has 240 horsepower or so at its peak. I thought it was a little bit more than that. But I think it's the race version that has a lot, and the drift version has only a little bit more than the stock one. I got a little mixed up right there. So what that tells you, though, is this is not like a professional drift vehicle like what they use in the drift competitions. This is more of a car that any normal guy could go out and build in his garage and then take to a track day or an autocross or something like that. It's nothing that fancy about it. You could probably build it for like the cost of a new car or less, depending on how fancy of a new car you're looking at. And honestly, though, I would have to unfortunately say that I don't seem to match up well with the way this car is set up. I don't know why, but for some reason it just doesn't match up with me. And it's kind of like that in Forza when I used to play that, and there'd be like drift cars. Like, I would be like, this car is terrible, but then there'd be like a couple of tuners who was like, I know their name. It's like, their tune setups work great for me. And it's just all about how you want it. For me, like, this one just feels a little too grippy where you have to pull the e-brake to actually get to drift. And usually when I do that, things go bad. I prefer to have cars where they're just more slippery and they kind of just drift on their own without having to force it so hard that you end up overdoing it, kind of like where you might spin out like that real easily. That was an intentional demonstration, actually, yes. That was not an accident. That was on purpose. I wouldn't lie about that, actually, because I'm a bad drifter. See, what I really would do is I just underdo everything instead. If I'm actually trying, I just say like, oh yeah, that's a drift. Oh, that was totally a drift. Yeah, not really. Oh, that was a perfect drift. That was not so much a drift at all. I say it's a perfect drift just because, like, no damage to the car, but my bumper's gone. So yeah, there's a quick demonstration with the drift one. Go and crash into a tree. You can see kind of if there's any major differences with the way the car holds up because of the roll cage. And it does appear just sturdier overall, I've noticed. Like, that was a 30 or 40 mile per hour crash, I think, and looks like it held up pretty well. So let's go ahead and reset him, and we're going to make you the race version now, and I want you to be mustard yellow, because I don't want no boring silver race car. And everything about this car visually is pretty much the same, except for the wheels. But it has a lot more power. Except, oh, it is listing it. All right, right here. So you can see it has about 400 horsepower at its peak and a lot of torque as well. So this one really is a lot fancier than the other one we were just using. And the way it grips the road is really nice. Like the drift one, I'm iffy about that. This one, I like the way it drives. It has a lot of grip, and I would say in terms of comparing it to stock cars, this thing is the easiest rear-wheel drive car to drive. The Sunburst is easier just because there's all-wheel drive to pull you through the corners. But like comparing this to the Grand Marshal, Bolide, Bolide's probably the more fair comparison. This thing handles a lot better than the Bolide for me, where I can go around corners more recklessly and not spin out and crash. I can go through them and be fine. And ironically enough, this one works a little bit better for me as a drift car if I wanted to, I think. Like if I said I want to drift this corner. Yeah. That works a lot better as a drift car. See, I make no sense. Like, here's a race car. I'm gonna drift it. Here's a drift car. I'm gonna use it for grip. Like, what does that mean? Why you do that? I don't know. It's just the way the cars match up with me. I drive weird, I think. I don't know how to brake properly. Like, it's one of those things where I don't seem to be able to drive good yet. When I can, like, if I spend a couple hours on a racetrack, when I used to play, like, arcade-ish racing games, I should say, like Forza. If I spend enough time on a racetrack on like those challenges they have, I would break the top 100 usually eventually using the right tune and stuff. So it's just one of those weird things where I'm not that terrible at driving if you give me enough practice at it, but it seems like I'm so terrible whenever you watch me. So we're getting off topic here. Either way though, I like the way this car handles. Like I can fling it around and it almost always seems like it wants to straighten itself out and be okay. I can almost treat it like it has all-wheel drive when I can put on the power out. All I'm saying is I really like the way this suspension setup is. This is a nice setup. So let's go ahead and crash this, and then I think it's time to do some really violent things after this. Hello, wall! I don't think that's really 80 miles per hour, is it? Maybe. My carbon fiber! My wing! My muffler, or my exhaust, or whatever you are. Oh, it still drives. Gotta finish the race. Gotta finish the race. Oh, it drives faster in the dirt. Really, it does. But that's, that car's broken. So let's go ahead and head to, let's go to Cliff first, and then we'll, go somewhere else after that. For the Cliff, I'm gonna use a stock version of the car because it's not that extreme, and then when we eventually make our way to like Leap of Death, that is when I will use the crazy roll caged up race or drift edition of the car because it needs the extra durability there, where here I don't think it really needs it because there's nothing that'll really absolutely destroy the car. There's a lot of gradual damage, which, well, you know what the heck, we could do it both ways. We'll do it one with roll cage, one without. See if it makes a big difference on the way the car looks at the end of things. That means I should have spawned a car way at the top of this, but I didn't. Whoops. Oh well. Because it'd be nice to have them both side by side at the end, but it's not necessary. I could just respawn it and just look at it visually before and after I do that. Like right here, I'd be like, analyzing, yes, that is car. Looks pretty beat up, that's for sure. Alright, reset. Get that race one, or drift, doesn't really matter, I just grab whichever. And try to take about the same path. I don't really know exactly where I went because I wasn't paying enough attention, but that's probably pretty similar. Although this one looks a little faster, so it's definitely going to be a bit more violent. But if the roll cage does its job, the car should hold up a little bit better. And it seems to be holding up a bit better. Like you see, it still has more of its general shape, where the one without the roll cage, at the end at least, didn't really have much of the original car's shape. It was all bashed up a lot worse than this one. So yeah, the roll cage does seem to really just stiffen the chassis a lot, which makes it harder to break apart. Right there. I mean, that definitely looks less damage from the outside than the other one. I'm just looking at it. The engine bay is pretty close to being the same amount of beat up, so that tells you that the crash was probably about the same amount. Same with the trunk. It looks about the same. But where the driver is a lot less beat up. Steering wheel looks funky. Oh, it fell through the column. How weird. Oh yeah, this one has a manual transmission so you can actually see it, but the shifter doesn't shift, even when it's not broken. Forgot to mention that. So that's all I want to do there. I think we can go ahead and go on to the next one, which will be a Leap of Death, which I just scrolled past, didn't I? Where is it? I know it's here. How does this happen? They switched the width. I can't find things now. Okay. JKL. There it is. Sheesh. Alright, so this one I'm just gonna use the one with the roll cage because it's gonna need it. It also gets a wing, so maybe it'll fly. Maybe it'll just fly all the way to the dam and land nice and smoothly. If it could really do that, that would be so impressive, but I don't think it will. Although the wing does seem to do a pretty good job of kind of keeping it level. Never mind, I spoke too soon. Now it's just dipping. Oh, there it goes, it's level again! Alright, so Leap of Death in it, man. Try to get some 100 times slow-mo on the actual impact because we need to see it good. Wow. Yeah, good thing there's a roll cage there. I mean, it's not like it's going to save the driver, but at least the structure of the car is somewhat intact. If I didn't have that roll cage there, it would be totally unidentifiable as to what it actually was originally. Actually, right now, it's pretty close to unidentifiable. The only way you can identify it is the fact that it has some wheel strapped to it. And I'll let it fall all the way. I never know what to say when it falls, though. It's like, can I just go, the whole time? Like, yeah, that's not obnoxious at all, right? I won't do that. I promise I won't do that. So there it is with the roll cage, and you can tell there's a little bit of a driver's compartment left. Like right there. The roll cage is like, I'm going to keep this body intact. Because you know where he lived. But his limbs may still be attached. And you know what? Just because. I want to see the difference, okay? I want to see what it looks like when you don't have all the fancy stuff. Does this car have like the same headlights as the taillights as the Grand Marshal? I just realized it looks similar, doesn't it? I must be misremembering them. Hey, it must not. Alright, so this one's gonna crash slightly different than the other one. Okay. Totally opposite of the other one. The other one landed the other side first. This one's landing roof first. Yeah, see, that's not identifiable as a car anymore. Oh, look at the hubcap, the jiggly hubcap. Hey, there's one jiggly hubcap. That thing should have snapped in half. How are you doing that, hubcap? Like a UFO. Yeah, I can't even identify that anymore, so I'll just let it go down. Whoa, that looked kind of weird. The camera was like just flashing back and forth. And again, we just get to watch it fall. Although I don't know what the point is because there's not much of interest that's going to happen. It's just going to become a mangled up shape, which isn't really much fun to look at. Oh well. And splash. Alright. Let's go ahead and... Whoops. Oh, wrong button. Let's make our way to... Let's go to Brutal Slope after we go to the descent. Alright, so we'll do the same thing. One that has a roll cage and one that doesn't. We'll use the ramp because the ramp is fun. Land it. Keep driving. Alright, engine's broken, or transmission or something is broken. I can't put the power down, but I can still try to control it, although I didn't really do very well at that because we're rolling and flopping and yeah. My bad. I really like the way it's going down this, though. It's like hitting only the front and the side and stuff, but the roof isn't really getting hit much. It did get hit eventually, so I can't say that anymore. But he kind of managed to hold the shape of the driver's compartment because of the way it crashed. That was unexpected. Although the steering wheel was like, I'm up here now. What are you doing, steering wheel? Like, I don't even know what's going on the inside. I was going to say, how am I supposed to steer this thing? But I can't see. Who steers like that? Looks like one of those people with the crazy bikes with the... Oh, there's a name for it where you have the handlebars really long. Can't remember the name, though. I just can't remember nothing, man. I'm just so dumb sometimes. Oh, this has gotten terribly. This one has gotten way worse than the other one. The other one I at least managed to... Oh, no, don't fall off the side. Don't you dare fall off the side. I'm holding to go right, but I have no idea if it'll actually... I mean, it's not going to do any good from here, to be honest. I'm just hoping that it doesn't fall off. I want you to get to the bottom without falling, please. Please! So this is a lot of smaller gradual crashes. And that, again, has another one where the driver's compartment somewhat stays there. And look, there are the pedals. Now you can see them moving. I told you they move, but you never got to see them. Here's proof that they move. If they don't move, I'm going to be so sad. Yay! Clutch, clutch. Wait, does the clutch stretch? Well, I really can't say much. No, it's not stretching. It looked like it was stretching from that angle I used, like right here. I don't know what I was doing. Yeah, like right there. It looks like it just stretches, but it's just the angle. That one actually seems to have turned out about as the same as the stock one, though. All right, that was unexpected. Now, to finish things up, we're going to go to Brutal Slope. And I'll just back this up while I spawn up the car. This one, since it is just one giant impact, maybe I actually will stick to what I always say and just use the one with the roll cage. Ah, who am I kidding? Oh, no. No, 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 no. Oh, why? Why? Okay, I could just teleport it up. Not like it's a real inconvenience. It was just funny. Like, it just ends up rolling off the edge because I'm not paying any attention at all. But yeah, for a 200-mile-per-hour impact, I really don't know if the roll cage will make that much of a difference anyways. But if it does, the car could really use it. For example, roll cage when you make a convertible. That will be interesting. Like, I'm pretty sure even for this, the roll cage will just collapse. Well, it's not even for this. Like, this will kill the roll cage, is what I should be saying. And a little bit more slow-mo. Yep, roll cage couldn't save you there. That thing got crushed. It might have actually helped a tiny bit, though. That is one good roll cage, man. Alright, last crash. Slam it into that wall. Maybe we'll do one more thing, actually. I just thought of something I didn't do. I should put it in the crusher. Then we'll be done. Kind of a different way to end the video than normal, but I just thought of that and I didn't do it as far as I can recall in the video, which makes me sad. I want to crush it with the car crusher. And I never looked at the J-beam structure, but it's one of those things where I usually just do that to be like, look, it has a J-beam structure to prove it. With a stock vehicle, that's really not necessary because you know that the developers kind of know what they're doing, where some mods can be terrible. Although I only do videos for good mods, so it really doesn't matter, I guess. Oh well. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. Stop flexing. Are you flexing? What are you doing, actually? I don't know what's going on there. There's some funky things going on. Oh, hey. Well, after that crash, the car looks pretty good. I don't see a single scratch on it. Oh, now I see some scratches. My wing! My wing is gone. No! Give me my wing back. Can't take my wing. You can take my freedom, but you can't take my wing. Well, actually, I do like my freedom. So please don't take that. Time to crush. And then we can stretch it too, although stretching just causes glitches. I don't care though. Perfect angle. Nice and diagonal. Looks nice. That is a cube of car. Except for the part that's stretching outwards. Okay, so I reset it right there. And now we make a mess by stretching it. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, how anticlimactic. Oh well, what a terrible ending for it to end like that. Okay, I got one more. Just because that was such a terrible ending, I'm gonna change the ending up. I'm gonna reset the car so I have all the parts though, and I'm gonna give you an ending that's at least kind of interesting. It's not the most interesting of things, but it's something I didn't do, which is fun to do. And all you do is you go to a jump, You take the jump and then you hit the brake boost button and you watch all the pieces fly everywhere. Because ending on, oh, the game glitched out, okay, is just so lame. Like, that is so lame. Come on, I could do better than that. We hit the jump. Oh, there goes my bumper already. And brake all brake groups. Now all the pieces slowly fly off, including my poor headlights. And even the engine's like, I'm out of here. Engine's out. Transmission's out of here. The wheels are all out. The exhaust seems to be holding on, which is unexpected. That should come off eventually. I think it's just the angle it's at. And I'll let it fall a little faster. Do 2 times slow-mo. I mean, half speed is really the more proper term. Oh, look at those turbos. The turbos stay with me. The turbos are like, we're here for life. At least it looks like they were. Just let it hit it full speed to see. Yep, turbos are there. All right, so that'll do it. And until next time, this is WhyBeAre. If there's anything else you'd like to see with the Ibishu 200BX, feel free to request it. Otherwise, till next time, I'll see ya.